What?
Philadelphia to take some big national progressive coalition head seat, whatever. I'm sure it's Alex Soros that would be behind that. Could it be? Now, I wouldn't be satisfied. No, I would, for the sake of humanity, I'd have to put up with it. I want to get him out of there the old fashioned way. Either defeat him, he is impeached. So check that box, already done, or ouster him, whatever the term for that is. So we're hearing Larry Krasner might be leaving. I'll let you know if I get more confirmation on that. It's been swirling the last couple of days. So no celebration yet, but the show is young. We're just getting started with a lot of great stuff today. And if it turns out to be the case, remember where you heard it first. That's what we try to bring you. Yeah. But, it's a little bit hollow if he's leaving for that. I guess, yeah, he can cause damage nationwide by any means necessary legally to get him out of here, of course, is our goal. So file that one away. And I hate to even jinx it by bringing it up, but what the heck? I just got it.
Yeah,
so
I feel like if we talk too much about it, you might spite him into wanting to stay just to anger you.
Yeah, I mean, what's he going to do? Where's he going to find
So
somebody?
Kevin Bacon came a-calling?
You know what? That's probably a name. No, I think it's Alex Soros, maybe Kevin Bacon.
Not the Bacon brothers?
Maybe Hollywood. Yeah, what could it be? What job other than, that just think of where he's positioned to do his damage forever here.
Yeah.
Where would he be going? People say, well, why doesn't he run for mayor? Now he can't do as much damage in the mayor's office. Here, he just says, I'm not going to prosecute crimes. He can't do that in the mayor's office, really. All right. Now, we also have something else. I told you that each week, Amy Rosenberg writes this column that I really like, Down the Shore, in the Philadelphia Inquirer. And it gives you a lot of insight, the fun stuff happening at the shore. We got a lot of fodder out of over the year. Remember the year they had those giant tents that everybody was putting up? And that became a thing, became a show thing we talked about. Well, today, she's got a couple of things. One, part two, what is in the minds of people in Stone Harbor, where now in June, Dan, is the latest statistics. They wrote 968 parking tickets, up 62%.
Ooh.
We already had in May a record that was set. That's about close to $33,000, $34,000 in parking tickets.
Wow.
And they're claiming that they switched over. Why can't people get it? Now, Sea Isle did too, but they gave people a grace period. They allowed them to figure out how to get into the system. I mean, are people just unable to fathom it? Or are they just, I plan to be over there next week. Ro loves it, for the sports bar there. And we have ours set up. We set it up the last time we were down there. But what in the world are people not getting where there's that number of tickets? It's incredible. Here's a nugget, though, speaking of the short that we got, and Dan's trying to get the mayor on. Amy Rosenberg wrote about the fact, and it was buried in there, but I pulled it out. Public safety concerns prompt legal action to stop summer road work. And it's a pedestrian story about Long Beach Island. I've only been to Long Beach Island twice. When DJ was in the 7th grade, we had to take him there, pick him up. He had friends. And I told Greg, who summers there, I believe, that both sides of the island, you can see water all the way around you. It's pretty narrow on Long Beach Island, right? And there's only one way in town. So the mayor of Long Beach Township says to the local newspaper, the sandpaper.net.
Great name, by the way.
Yeah, sandpaper.net, that this has been brutal, what's been going on. I need to hear somebody that went through this gauntlet. All this construction that suddenly the state put up. They told them, yo, it's the middle of the summer. You can't put construction on the one way into town, one road. There's nothing you're going to do, Dan. It's narrow. It's like Cape May, even worse, getting in there. So the mayor says they still went ahead and did this massive construction. There were safety concerns. Quote, sounds like it's Governor Murphy's bridge gate, a mini bridge gate.
Bridge gate?
Yes, because the mayor and the other 5 mayors of the Long Beach Island towns, I don't know what they are. There's a township, there's this, that, and the other. They are all signed off. They are adamant against the wind turbines, against the wind. So the suspicion is Murphy and the boys saying, oh, yeah, you're adamant about that? We're going to give you a bridge gate. Now, I think this, rather than just I think this ought to be investigated. I think this ought to be looked at, just like you know how I feel about being stuck in traffic and anybody who puts you in traffic. Would the minions of the King of Hair and the King of Hair want to send a message to other mayors about these vaunted wind turbines, and you better not be this vocal about them, by making this project essentially make it miserable? The mayor says there's only one way on and one way off. Is it just coincidental that for public safety and for first responders, they were doing this? They gave them their concerns about shutting down lanes and road work. Road work at the gateway to LBI was temporarily halted June 28th through July 7th. They were notified the project would continue on weekdays this summer. The mayor of Ship Bottom says they didn't heed any of our safety, traffic control, or environment. Oh, they didn't heed their environmental concerns, Dan. That can't be in New Jersey. That's Mayor William Husselenbeck. And added, political interference would not be unheard of. The project has been a political football since 2004. If this is true, look, you know how I feel about Christie and Bridgegate. I think he should have gone to jail for it, ultimately. I know the trial and all, he wasn't proven the connection. They blamed other people, but the whole vibe of his office was to go this way. So this ought to be looked at. Were they actually doing road work just to harass people? Not looking, the mayor of Ship Bottom says, not looking at the environmental concerns even. This whole wind project, the big story here is the thuggery. We told you yesterday about the mockery of some of these people. We're making it up. The Amy Rosenberg column, several people today. The Inquirer has a big editorial on this. And they say they're outing us, Stan. It's not about the whales. It's really a NIMBA thing. Well, guess what? I outed them yesterday because I said, yes, that's a major part of it. I'm willing to admit it. It's not only the whales. It's also the fact that we don't want the Jersey Shore ruined by these creeps for these vaunted climate projects. Yes, they're right. And they editorialized 7 printed pages today about how selfish we are because we don't want these things at the Jersey Shore. Can you imagine?
Come on.
I can imagine where the editors of the Inquirer are summarizing. Yeah, it may not be at the Jersey Shore. Maybe their chateau is farther away where they won't have to put up with this and see this. They dismiss all the concerns that people have brought up. It's all scare stories. It's all conspiracy. They attack Fox News. They attack the mayors. So in the town, in the Long Beach Island towns, are they making them suffer because these mayors were adamant? We're trying to get the mayor on who said it to the sandpaper.net. If you summer in Long Beach Island or you go in and out there, what was it like if you went in during this closure type of thing? I mean, I've been at times when you're going over that bridge to Cape May, stuff like this, or sometimes Ocean City going in. If you're going in on a Friday in the summer, it just drains you, the last little bit of energy. And Long Beach Island, there's no way you're getting on either side of that. You're just not going to be able to do that. All right. Here's the sound of the day, though. Here are the Democrats in the special committee today. Robert Kennedy Jr., who handled this beautifully, I think, was brought in to talk about censorship. And what do the Democrats? I think it leads off with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the curly-haired one. They're censoring Robert Kennedy's speech. They want to censor it after Republicans bring him in to talk about big tech censorship. And this woman, she's not even a congressperson, Dan. She's a delegate from the U.S. Virgin Islands. Plaskett. Every time you see this woman, she's one of the worst. She has the most to say. And the last time I looked, that's not a state. She's just a delegate. What the heck is she doing leading any of this? All right, listen to this round of Democrats now about Robert Kennedy Jr. in this committee hearing on censorship. Here's what happened.
You want a Plaskett or do you want the Wasserman Schultz calling for the vote?
Okay. Yeah.
I'd like to raise a point of order.
Gentlelady can state a point of order.
Point of order pursuant to House Rule 11, Clause 2, which Mr. Kennedy is violative of. I move that we move into executive session because Mr. Kennedy has repeatedly made despicable anti-Semitic and anti-Asian comments as recently as last week. Rule 11, Clause 2 says, whenever it is asserted by a member of the committee that the evidence or testimony at a hearing may tend to defame, degrade, or incriminate any person, or it is asserted by a witness that the evidence or testimony that the witness would give at a hearing may tend to defame, degrade, or incriminate the witness, and it goes on. Mr. Kennedy, among many other things, has said, I know a lot now about bioweapons. We put out hundreds of millions of dollars into ethnically targeted microbes. The Chinese have done the same thing. In fact, COVID-19, there is an argument that it is ethnically targeted. COVID-19 attacks certain races disproportionately. The races that are most immune to COVID-19 are...
A lady making a motion or a speech?
I've made a motion to move into executive session because Mr. Kennedy's testimony...
Mr. Chairman, I
and
move
his
to table the
previous
motion.
statements-
The gentleman from Kentucky has moved to table.
Mr. Chairman, I ask for a roll call vote on the motion to table.
Well, let me ask the question. The question is on the motion to table. The gentlelady has asked for a roll call vote. The clerk will have to.
All right.
So then it gets to the vote a little bit later, Dom. And the yes vote here now is for
censoring.
No, the yes vote is for not to censor. So I don't want to confuse people. If you're voting yes, you're voting to not censor.
Okay.
You're voting. So here you go.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Gentleman from Louisiana.
Is it the custom of this committee to censor viewpoints that we disagree with from witnesses?
Mr. Chairman, I have
That's not a
motion-
point of
I have
order.
a motion on the table
There's a motion and the vote's
to
been
move into
called.
executive session
We're waiting
because
for,
Mr.
we're waiting for
Kennedy
the clerks.
is violative of
We're waiting
Rule
for the
11,
clerks.
Clause 2.
Waiting for the clerks. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Jordan.
Yes.
Mr. Jordan votes yes. Mr. Issa.
All right. So all the Republicans vote
Mr.
yes,
Massey.
Dom. And then the Democrats get a chance to offer their votes.
Yeah.
And again, they take it as a chance to stump speech. Here you
There you
go.
go.
No, I want to follow the rules that the Republicans made
Plaskett,
at the beginning of
Virgin
this,
Islands.
conference
Don't vacation there.
with these House rules. So no.
Ms. Plaskett votes no. Mr. Lynch. No. Mr. Lynch votes no. Ms. Sanchez.
No, because it's violative of the rules.
Ms. Sanchez votes no. Ms. Wasserman Schultz.
No to allowing a witness to degrade and
This is not
defame
speech
others
time.
and violate the rules and not have his testimony and degradation and amplified
Mr. Chair.
rather than given in executive session.
Ms. Wasserman Schultz votes no. Mr. Connolly.
No to the
Miss-
Soviet Politburo.
Mr. Connolly votes no. Mr.
That's my
Graham.
favorite part right there. That's what I was waiting for, Dom.
Soviet power. So here are the Democrats in this censorship meeting, big tech, Kennedy, COVID, all that stuff. What do?
Mr. Connolly.
They vote to censor
the
them.
Soviet Politburo.
Oh, God. It's endless. They just roll them out one after the Plaskett woman is a new star that gets the juices flowing with me every time she speaks. And I keep on saying, stop her. She's not a congressperson. They don't have representatives. Somehow or another, they have a delegate.
Wasn't she the one shoving Hillary down the throat of all the Democrats when they wanted Bernie? Wasn't she like the head of the
Wasserman
DNC?
Schultz.
Yeah. It's the same person,
Yeah,
right? Now
yeah.
she's
No,
a
I'm talking
congresswoman?
Plaskett.
Oh,
the
okay.
delegate.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got you. Yeah. Wasserman Schultz, the other one, though, too.
Yes, exactly. Once I had a conversation with her in the green room of the Lou Dobbs show, and it was pleasant till we were on together. Then it was, oh, man, no holds barred. All right, let me give you the side question. You can get in now at 855-839-1210. Do you think Long Beach Island was said, you got a nice little resort here? Be a shame if you couldn't get into it. Jackhammers right in the center lane all day long. I mean, that's Bridgegate. If that's true, that they intentionally did this to inflict pain, you go to jail for that. At least you did with Bridgegate. Now, Bridgegate was a lot worse, but this is the type of petty Jersey stuff that you get. The mayor there seems to believe, a couple of the mayors believe it. No concern for environmental concerns for the work they were doing, too. Well, that can't be in Jersey. All right, side question today, Dan. I'm not going to give my answer because that's going to be my next big list tomorrow. Who is it you'd like to hear in studio? C, too, since we're on YouTube now, with me, and the person would be on truth serum, effective truth serum.
So not just a standard interview. First,
Right.
beforehand, Dom, we're going to sit them down. I don't know,
Right.
inject them, maybe make it take a pill. I don't know what it is, but some kind of truth serum to make them force them to tell you the truth, Dom. And there are so many people out there that seem like they're hiding something that
Right.
you and your interview skills, I would just love to hear you interview
The
them.
saliva's dripping already
The
here.
saliva is
Yes.
dripping. I'm going to take the big one off the board, Larry Krasner.
Yeah.
I want to know the honest truth behind why he continues to be so headstrong in his policies despite the wreckage that they're having on Philadelphia.
Damn right I ordered a non-code red. You can't do anything. Yes.
So I'd love to see Krasner. I'd love to see, I'll take Mayor Kenny off the board as well. And then one more that I'd love to see. You know what? Let me think on another
Okay.
one. Because I'll take him off because I really want to know what the heck's going on through the guy's mind. And I don't know whether it's nefarious or what it is. I can't put my finger on this guy's pulse, and that's Elon Musk.
That would be a wacko. Yeah.
Yeah, and
that
just
would be
the truth serum,
interesting-
why you're doing what you're doing, what's going on here.
Yeah. If we gave Joe Biden truth serum, though, I don't know how that might end. I could take another one. I won't yet, though. There's a couple of other goodies still out.
We'll
real
take Joe
good.
Biden off the board though, since you mentioned him. So no Joe Biden either.
All right. So it's 8. That's the side question today at the end of your call. How about this nugget, though? All this mysterious construction inflicting pain on people going to Long Beach Island. And those mayors there, the 6 of them are big against the win. It's stunning, this battle. We got to win this one. This isn't just even about the whales, the beach, the Inquirer. This is just petty tyranny. They've just determined this for their reasons, and they have the media on their side to say, no, we shouldn't have a debate on this. This is just a bunch of ingrates, nimbas. I admit to being a nimba. I don't even have a place there, but just summering there and just how I feel about the Jersey Shore. No. There's no reason to do this, to put that at risk. And that's exactly what you're doing. And you don't care. You're going to shove it through because it's your holy grail. It's climate. All right, phone lines, 855-839-1210. AT&T will keep you updated, too, on Larry Krasner. We'll see what happens. Just push pound 1210. We got a couple of great guests coming our way. And I have a little bit more, Dan, yesterday. Another New Jersey congresswoman now taking a victory lap because CNBC says New Jersey is the 3rd best place in the country to live. Hell was, on the list, I guess. That's why. And when you hear on Twitter, she gives the big reason. You got it. What the big reason is, I'll give it to you. Coming up with Dom on Talk Radio 1210. All right, welcome in. That's the truth serum part. Now, Dan, on the side question, I may allow this with certain
Really?
circumstances, but
Okay.
what was the part two today's side
Yeah, so
question?
I said maybe we should expand this a little bit because we got a great comment over on the youtube.com/at 1210WPHT. Please go like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. All of us here at the station, we really appreciate you liking and subscribing. youtube.com/at 1210WPHT. Fred has a great angle on the side question saying, you know what? I would like to put Dom under truth serum instead and ask him one simple question. Why do you not like the back-in parking?
We've been through that a million times. The annoyance of this, Dan, the over evaluation. I can't see when I back up. Maybe you shouldn't be driving. I'm sorry about that.
Hold on, though. I got to. All right. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
maybe expose the host a little bit, but we went to a Phillies game this week, and you seemed very excited that you're able to pull through a parking spot to,
Sure.
face
Well,
outwards.
that is, you saw how up against each other we were.
Yeah, yeah.
It's easier to pull out than it is to look.
All right, so
Yeah.
essentially what you're saying is you see the benefit of parking in a way to get out quickly, but the time that it takes to pull into the spot is fully supplanted by the time it
Yes.
takes out to back out of a spot.
The annoyance to everybody else. And, it's often somebody with an SUV backing in, backing in, backing in.
It's like a boat.
Yeah, like
Trying
it's
to
a,
dock
like
a
it's
boat.
like it's a bank robbery too. They have to be ready, keep the engine running. It's a bank robbery.
What if they're real? Like Maisie is so good at it. She does it for everything that she'll just it's quick. She pulls up and it's one swipe back.
All right. I just think it's overkill. If you can do it in one time without annoying everybody else, okay.
Do you say something if you're driving in a car and somebody pulls up a little bit and you've got the back up? You're
I
like,
just
come
put
on.
my head down, start shaking it. I just try to,
Face just plants into the palm.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. So you got the side question. Either way, be prepared. Who is it you want to have under truth serum is the major thing. By the way, on my Twitter at DomShow1210, I happen to see it and I retweeted it. You'll see it there. A 1986 picture of Kensington Avenue. And Dan, it looks like pick a shopping center that's thriving here, like a local shopping center strip. It looks unbelievable. 1986 Kensington.
You know what it looks like? The little stretch between our old station at 4th and Market and Penn's Landing.
Yeah.
Where you have all the stores right there in Old City.
Right.
Just back-to-back store. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, it does. Sunny day and all the store. Yeah. And what happened? Well, somehow or another, along the way, as we saw more and more drug, they decided to dump it into Kensington. And that's it. That's how it happened. Okay. Getting a lot of stuff behind the scenes, too, with Larry Krasner. And this is a developing thing. But there has been, since yesterday, a couple sources that a lot of people believe there are signs that he could be in line to do something national. Okay. Oh, my God. We're going to have to lose Larry. We're going to have to lose Larry Krasner? Oh, that can't be. Now, I'm not saying I know it yet. I'll let you know when I think it's ripe, but that is definitely going on. All right, now.
You're also getting some criticism on youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Tuna Fang says, if you drive a long vehicle, Dom, like his pickup truck, you have no choice. You have to back in.
The endless, I'm not going to get drawn back into that. It's almost as bad as the people with not pumping their own gas. It's a similar genre. All right. Now, the Inquirer has an op-ed up that on today, there's a lot of things happening around this. It's by a girl that goes to, a young woman that goes to Central, Sadie Batchis. And Dan, she attacks the Moms for Liberty, attacks them right out of the box. And she's talking about why do conservatives, Republicans, and others, she claims, not want kids to know about racism in our history being taught in school. She says from Tennessee to New Jersey, there are bills that aim to ban any form of teaching that would make a student feel discomfort, guilt, anguish, or any other form of psychological distress solely because of the individual's race or sex. Now, here's the nugget, and I went back and I looked it up and I have it verbatim. This editorialist in the Inquirer says the school district of Philadelphia is the only major school district in the United States that requires a year-long African-American history course. Yet, in Pennsylvania, Republicans hope to take control and pass House Bill 1532. That would prevent any curriculum that suggests, now here's what it says. This would bar an individual by virtue of the individual's race or sex from being made to bear responsibility for actions committed in the past by members of the individual's race or sex. And this editorialist for the Inquirer thinks that that's out of bounds. So I wasn't fully aware Republicans have that bill ready to go. What it's saying is we're not going to make kids in elementary or high school feel discomfort or blame or shame or anything else because of actions committed by their sex or race in the past. I would fight for that. I mean, literally fight for that. That's exactly what it should be. Why is that so hard to understand? Why do we want to make kids, white kids usually, guilty in school? Why is that the aim? I'm saying this on the day that Florida, late yesterday, Florida passed, the Department of Education put into play their standards for teaching history, principally Black history or history that involves slavery, racism, and things of that nature. And all that it does is to say, we're not going to have you make people feel uncomfortable or discomfort or bad or ashamed because of the nation's history. Why would I make an 8, 9, 10, 15-year-old today feel bad because of racism in the past in this country? Anybody tell me why I would do it? What kind of maniacs think that that's a positive thing? In what universe is it? Well, they should feel guilty. Okay, let's talk about that. What did they do? The only thing you should feel guilty about or be made to feel guilty about or suggested you have to feel guilty about is something that you've done, an action that you've taken. If you haven't taken any action and you weren't even alive then, maybe your parents were, grandparents, great-great-grandparents, whomever, why in the world should a school make you feel shame, guilt, or discomfort? 855-839-1210. This is the type of thing they're doing in Philadelphia public schools on a day where Florida passed. Now, a key thing with Florida's history standards, you know about this with DeSantis and all the stuff that went into it, is that it's age appropriate. In kindergarten, first grade, what do they talk about? They talk about, in this field of race, they talk about great African Americans, Latinos, and others that it would be good for kids to know about and their story. In other words, age appropriate. As they advance, when you get to high school, they talk about some things that happened in Florida. There was a race massacre or massacre around race. That is mandated in the curriculum. Why would this, and this student is at Central. She's an editorialist today. Why would she be taught, or why does she feel, and she has been taught, that the goal of schools is to make kids, white kids, feel guilty about that? Why?
Because it's in their mind, it's the only way to teach children about white privilege and systemic racism. Inherently, every person that's white is allegedly racist just by being, because they benefit off a quote racist system. And unless they drill this into the youth, they can't get that message across. And that's
But
not a
that's
solution,
she's
man.
given away exactly with this column. Now, look, I'm not going to invite her on because we don't do it with kids, no matter how smart. But it's not right. You can't beat up on a kid who's a junior or senior in high school. Not going to happen. Maybe a senior in college. Over the years, we've had some people on. Maybe by then. But she is intuiting that exactly. That's the message of the Philadelphia public schools. Now, look at their message versus Florida's. Florida's message is to tell the story of history, but not to make kids feel today that they're guilty about anything. And the converse of that they don't like, or make other kids feel they're the victims still today because of that. That's the damage. She encapsulates what's going on. All right, phone lines are 855-839-1210. Don't forget the side question. Also, we told you about what's going on with Robert Kennedy Jr.'s testimony today. We got a lot to say about the whistleblowers, how that's playing out after yesterday. And this stuff with the wind turbines is heavy duty. Did they really unleash more road work in the middle of the summer on the 6 LBI townships and Ship Bottom and all this stuff that they're talking about to get them back? Because apparently all 6 mayors signed off against the wind farms. I mean, you do that, you're setting yourself up. I mean, what was Bridgegate? Now, it's on a more massive scale, more consequences. You're shutting down thousands of people. I think it was 3 straight days. But you can't do that. Now, there, you couldn't get out, pretty much. So that's kind of kidnapping, being held against your will. But just to inflict misery on people by road work, it's got to be a penalty for that. That's got to be looked at. If they did that, and there's a paper trail of some sort, and who are they targeting? They just can't, they really can't stand it that there's an organized opposition that's growing every day, no matter what the Inquirer says, no matter what Murphy says, no matter what the Danish people say. And they're not going to stop this. It's going to grow and grow and grow. And if we hold them off long enough, let's say another year, and we get into another summer, there's going to be more and more outrage over this, more and more pushback. So they have to hurry it up, wreck our lifestyle at the shore in order to get this done. Every day that goes by is another victory to stop them. That's what this is about. 855-839-1210. You get on board.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but I mean, what's the matter to Phil Murphy? It's not a NIMBY situation for him. He's a guy
Right.
who has the beaches in Italy to fly off to.
Well,
So.
he doesn't have beaches. He's got the villa
I'm
there.
sorry, Phil, but not all
Yeah.
New Jerseyans can,
Yeah.
fly off to Italy to enjoy a view that's unadulterated by windmills.
You know what? I got to check annually. When does he go to that villa? Because I did ask our guy. He said it's not too far away from the route we take when we're with 60 listeners soon at the end of August in Italy. Man, if Phil Murphy's there, I got to say to the guy, here's a 50. We got to make a few mile detour. I'm sure listeners on board. Oh, yeah. Can you see Murphy showing up?
This is the house of a Phil Murphy.
Yeah. Could you see if he has Miss Kim there doing his hair in Italy? Oh, my God. Yeah.
Man.
It's too much to ask. He takes the vacation somewhere around that time.
Yeah.
Show us the villa, Phil. Show us the villa.
I wonder how many, Orsted executives he's flirting with at that time.
I wonder,
when you drive
it's got stables. It's got a whole thing. Yep. 855-839-1210. There are certain home maintenance chores we'd all rather not do, like repainting the exterior of your home every 5 years. Who wants to do that? Well, here's an incredible permanent solution to that problem. It's Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield looks like paint, goes on like paint, but it never chips, cracks, or fades. It's ceramic coating. It's guaranteed for life. You never have to paint again. The local Rhino Shield owner, John Gilgee, great guy, friend of the program. I'm impressed with both the product and company, and it's perfect for any surface. You get the beauty of fresh paint, the maintenance of vinyl, even insulate your home. Comes with a 25-year guarantee that you can transfer if you sell your home. John meets with as many homeowners as he can himself, and they've helped thousands of Delaware Valley residents, including many of my listeners, upgrade the look and quality of their home. Call in right now. There's still time to save an incredible 20%. Visit myrhinoshield.com or call 844-RHINO-99, 844-RHINO-99.
I don't ever wanna feel like I did that day. Take me to the place I love.
Dom Giordano's show. Welcome in at 855-839-1210. Krasner Land today at about 3:45 or so. It could be one of the last.
All under the name Krasner Land. We might have to change the name, but I'd love to keep doing it with you, Dom.
Yeah.
It's going to be crime and the replace. Like if Krasner gets replaced, do you expect the person to be better or worse?
Better. I
You
don't know
think
why
so?
people would all, Dan, there's some people go through the world. I'm just like, it's like the back in the car. All right, I'm over that. Well, how do you know it won't be worse than Krasner? Now, you know what? Just have me testify. Let me bring the evidence. There's nobody out there that will be worse than Krasner. And I give the guy his credit. He is completely deranged on the left. And he's the smartest and smuggest and most arrogant of all the Soros attorneys.
Do you think he's the closest attorney to Soros himself? Like, it really feels that way. You talk about all these other DAs
yeah.
around the country.
Right.
Krasner gets the most amount of national attention, I would venture to
Right.
guess, besides Garcon when he was getting impeached.
Right.
So I would have to think that he's actually pretty close to the man
Yeah.
himself, right?
I don't know, on the political type of thing.
The only reason I suggest that is because there's such a fear. You had that situation with Vincent recently. He was afraid to speak out against Krasner. There's such a fear that seems like there's an overarching shadowy something that's preventing these people from speaking out against Krasner. And the only thing I could suggest is maybe there's so much money behind Krasner and that Soros that they're afraid of losing. So they're afraid of losing that money and speaking out against Krasner.
In Philadelphia, they're still overvaluing him. They think he represents people they don't want bothering them, the mob picketing and protesting him and all that with Krasner. I don't have any more on it, just a couple sources. But since yesterday, talking about Krasner leaving and some big progressive coalition sort of position on a national level, I can't imagine, though. He seems to me more bound to screwing things up than he actually can. I don't know what he would do in that, but if you hear it, it'll happen pretty soon.
He doesn't even have to try to screw up things here in Philadelphia. For example, let's talk about a recent instance. We had catalytic converters. My catalytic converter kept getting stolen. It took Montgomery County to come in with their DA to actually, hold the junkyards accountable. So now I feel that catalytic converter thieves know that there might be some accountability. Dom, a 6ABC report last night from Fishtown, they are now stealing the junction pipes for firefighters outside of townhomes and apartment buildings and taking the copper off of those to scrap those. So reading between the lines, Krasner, in not prosecuting the catalytic converters, they know they can still get away with this petty theft, but they know the catalytic converters are being watched now, so they're going to find some other scrap metal. And now they're actually making a damaging situation because if a fire, happens, they don't have they don't have a way to plug into the water.
All right. Well, here's what happens, as I understand it. If Krasner were leaving, okay, if that turns out to be the case, it's a vote of the judges at one court level. That's how Lynn Abraham became DA. She got voted in by the judges the first time around. Who the person is that they would put in, I will tell you, would be better than Krasner, without a doubt. You're not going to see this. And the next one that runs, whoever that might be, whoever the progressive is, will have a better shot. There'll be more awareness, et cetera. So this could be happening. I haven't conferred with some of the people involved with this. I'm just saying it's out there that this could be under consideration. Whether he does it, what he has or not, I'm not sure of. But here's an incident yesterday with Krasner. Here is Ralph Cipriano. Yeah, you've heard Ralph on the show with me many times. Ralph is as good of a crime reporter as you can get. He goes to this event with Vincent Hughes. Vincent Hughes is this senator from, state senator from West Philly, who's a big power broker when it comes to money in Philadelphia, the biggest. He's married to one of the women who star in Abbott Elementary. Got it? Oh, charter school is bad. He's doing this event in which he's talking about we need more gun laws. And Ralph Cipriano says, well, the guy behind you, that's Larry Krasner, you hear the question, says, I don't care if you're a felon and you're caught with a gun. We're not going to put you in jail for the 5 or 10 years, depending. We're not going to use that to get our way out of this. So why should we pass more laws? And this moron, Vincent Hughes, you'll hear his answer. This encapsulates what progressives are like, what the media lets them get away with, why we have so many problems. We already have in the books, as you know, a felon cannot legally have a firearm. So the solution is catch felons, put them in jail for maximum sentences if they have a firearm. By definition, it's illegal. Here's the exchange with Ralph Cipriano now. And this is not at Krasner's headquarters. It's at some public event. Listen to how it sounds.
Who may reside in their districts and say, call your senator. Please have them put it up for a vote. Because it passed the House of Representatives, the governor is going to sign it one step away. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, I got a question for you. I want to read you a quote. Quote, we do not believe that arresting people and protecting them from illegal gun possession is a viable strategy to reduce shooting. Unquote. That's from the man behind you, the chief law enforcement officer of the city of Philadelphia. Because in light of the fact that this DA doesn't believe in enforcing the gun laws currently on the books, what makes you think he would enforce new gun laws? No, I'm asking you, Senator. Senator, I'm asking you.
You're asking me? I believe he's been working hard to try to reduce gun violence in Philadelphia. I believe he's been doing his job. All right? And so every event that we've had, he's been there with us. Am I correct?
All right, well, let's stop it there. So that's his every event that we've had. Krasner's there with him. This is so much the face of progressivism. These idiots. They have enough. We go through this all the time with everything with guns, but particularly with Krasner. This glaring thing where he has said publicly, no, we're not going to do that. The simplest thing that would have the most direct impact. So if we're not going to do that, why do we continue with this? Well, for two reasons. One, it gives them something to talk about. It gives them something to raise money off. It gives them something to have silly events around. Two, they don't want people legally to have guns. They're against the Second Amendment. That's what it's about. And three, progressivism doesn't have to make sense. You just continue this silly cycle. Good for Ralph Cipriano, though. That's the answer you get. Well, he comes to all of our events. Let's have more laws. I know it sounds like a broken record to say, well, why not enforce the ones we have? But it is that simple many times, or at least it's a start. What difference would it make if felons were taken off the street when they had an illegal weapon? By definition, any weapon. A huge difference. You would see a noticeable difference. Just do that to start with, and you're going to see a difference. All right, phone lines, 855-839-1210. You get on board. You jump in now. Don't forget the side question. Who do you want me to interview and have under truth serum? Before that, we'll give you a little bit more of an update, too, on the testimony today. We got a special guest coming up to break down the whistleblowers yesterday, particularly Mr. Ziegler, who certainly couldn't be accused of being a Republican in any way, shape, or form. Where does all this heat go? Well, that's the question. And Delaware Valley Journal, where I write, has an exclusive poll, meaning they did it. That's good news of a sort, that Biden is really on the ropes. They'll be here at 1 o'clock when it comes to the 4 counties surrounding Philadelphia. Is that enough, though, for Trump, say, to beat him in Pennsylvania? That's the question. Would another candidate have a better chance in Pennsylvania? Maybe. In other words, these people in the suburbs, they don't want Biden either, but they don't want Trump, apparently. It's a dilemma, but it's much better than it was in 2020. All that straight ahead. Hey, you've heard me talk about my friend, dentist and board-certified prosthodontist, Dr. Robert Bentz of the Bentz Dental Group in East Norriton. Dr. Bentz is nationally, locally recognized as one of the area's top prosthodontists. When I stop by and see him, one of the things I get an update on is this fabulous 3D printer that he has. These are incredible because they allow him to expand patient solutions without having to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. They specialize in new ways to help you achieve your oral goals. And they give great comfort and convenience to patients. Dr. Bentz is so skilled. The technology he has is so cutting edge. Many local dentists refer their patients to him for the more complex cases. You reach Dr. Bentz at 610-272-6949. Make that appointment today. The Bentz Dental Group, 610-272-6949. My dentist, my good friend, prosthodontist Dr. Robert Bentz, 610-272-6949. All right, Dom time, Dom Giordano's show. As I said, exclusive poll coming up at 1 o'clock. Here's a little bit. I was surprised this guy's still the congressman from Baltimore area, Kwesi Mfume. Listen to him yesterday melt down with the whistleblowers and say, why are these Republicans attacking Department of Justice, FBI, IRS? They keep democracy in check. Whoa, wait a minute. This guy's supposed to be a progressive, a Democrat. He wants groups that keep our, quote, democracy in check. Here's the congressman, and then he ripped up his own statements, getting nuts during the whistleblowers hearing yesterday.
Here's what galls me. I don't like these attacks on the Department of Justice, the FBI, the IRS, as if they are somehow anti-U.S. agencies. Those agencies keep this democracy in check. It keeps them afloat. They provide the checks and they provide the balances.
What?
And we could be, quite frankly, using our time to better talk about crime in America that's affecting everybody, attacks on women's health, the economy, budgetary issues, public education, housing, the need for senior citizens to be able to pay for prescription drugs, child poverty, and mental health, to name a few. And yet we are doing this all over again for the Hunter Biden show to someone who has pleaded guilty and has taken responsibility for not filing taxes for 2 years. This is ludicrous. Beam me up, Scotty. There's no intelligent life down here. None.
Well, if it's progressive life, that's right. It's not intelligent life, and it's certainly has no understanding of the Constitution. So they keep us in check. No, we're supposed to keep them in check. They're our vehicles. We're not their servants. Department of Justice, certainly the FBI, and certainly the IRS. And isn't it ironic that the very same people that want to sig 87,000 more IRS agents on the American public are so concerned and so touchy about what went on here with Hunter Biden and how it really works with the IRS. The other thing is, you're not allowed to say 2 tiers of justice anymore. That apparently is trademarked by the Black Caucus, meaning if you say that, you're going to get a lecture, not questions, on 2-tier justice racially. We'll play you some of that too yesterday. Even for progressives, this was mind-boggling. They didn't want to joust with the whistleblowers, particularly the guy who's gay and married, Ziegler. All they wanted to do was talk George Floyd, police brutality. Amazing. What does it all mean ultimately? Well, maybe the judge, seeing all this, they're human too, is not going to okay the Hunter Biden deal. And maybe there'll still be more with the big guy. All right, coming up, exclusive poll with some good news. Philly suburbs say no to a second Biden bid. But do they say yes to Trump? Can we tell that? That's straight ahead on Talk Radio 1210.
Beam me up, Scotty. There's no intelligent life down here. None.